Today on X-Play, the Founding Fathers skate in Tony Hawk Underground 2. Bad dialogue in Devil May Cry 3.
This party's getting crazy.
And could Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal be the best platformer of the year? Find out! It's game time! Please welcome two people drowning in bitterness. It's Adam Zessler and Morgan Webb.
Oh, drowning is a little strong. I prefer a wash.
Well, I'm really drowning in bitters, but that's a different story. Hello and welcome to X-Play.
On today's show, we review Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
We take a look at Devil May Cry 3, the latest installment in Capcom's violent demon-slaying epic.
Plus soccer from EA Sports. And because people love bad ideas, a Dukes of Hazzard game.
Wow. And last but not least, we answer the question, is Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal the lead contender for Best Game of the Year? Ooh. Find out later in the show.
But we kick things off with the sequel to 2003's excellent Tony Hawk's Underground. Here's our review of the predictably titled Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Get out.
Yeah, I know. The focus of Tony Hawk's Underground has gone from earning respect as a skater to earning a beating as a jackass. The groundbreaking genius behind MTV's Viva La Bam has hijacked the Tony Hawk franchise and are advancing the future of gaming with the time-honored tradition of man gets hit in the groin jokes. Tony Hawk's Underground 2 starts much like the first Thug. You're a young skater out to prove himself. And that's about where it ends.
Bring it on, bitch!
Tony and Bam have started the World Destruction Tour. It's your assignment to skate various cities, wreaking havoc on property, animals, and the city locals.
Stop it! You're retarded.
No, you are! Oh! Nice catch, Dominic.
However, it's not all mayhem as you take a break from pelting people with apples to wheel a sick boy to see Tony Hawk.
Now I feel much better.
The game's irreverent humor is the key to its play.
Now the girls will love me.
You score points by doing various tasks of destruction, whether it's tagging walls, decapitating statues, or using a giant stone koala bear to unleash mass chaos. That's sad for the koala. As the points add up, you'll find stranger and more bizarre secrets in the game, like a bull riding Steve-O.
Love is a burning thing.
With references that range all over the place, from Ben Franklin
I'll invent a move called the Franklin.
He's a sweet soul, brother.
to the Star Wars kid.
Okay, I'll dance for you.
That poor kid will never find peace.
Fine, what's the matter? You didn't like it?
For all of you who don't care for groin humor and public disobedience, Thug 2 offers Classic Mode. This will allow you to play without all the absurdity. This game is, without a doubt, the best in the Hawk franchise, and it's one of the most fun games this year. For once, the storyline will provide real humor, and finding the game's hidden secrets will provide you with hours of entertainment.
Don't be so loud, you wake the fat boy up.
It might seem difficult for anyone new to the Tony Hawk world, but it's worth the time spent. With so much to do, everyone can find something to love about this game. We give Tony Hawk's Underground 2 a 4 out of 5. Oh, it's good to know that the Founding Fathers are still portrayed with reverence in the popular culture.
At least Thomas Jefferson isn't giving anyone a lap dance, for once.
Well, there's always that. Now, of course, Tony Hawk isn't the only major franchise pumping out a new installment.
Yes, Capcom's dark hack-and-slash series, Devil May Cry, has yet another installment in store for Dante fans.
Oh, sure, Devil May Cry 2 was a huge letdown and boring to boot, but Capcom is hoping to inject new life into the third installment by tossing in a new combat system and a whole lot of bullet time.
Here's our preview of Devil May Cry 3.
Everyone's favorite metrosexual demon slayer is back in Capcom's Devil May Cry 3.
Doesn't it excite you?
Not really, because the last one totally sucked.
Where did you hear that?
I don't know, it's pretty much common knowledge. Of course, this time around, Pretty Boy Dante is hoping the third game will redeem the franchise.
Don't bet on it.
This time, the game looks as stylish and gory as ever. And the series is returning to its apocalyptic roots with a faster, more fluid outing. Even if the dialogue hasn't improved.
This party's getting crazy. Let's rock.
I have not the words. The biggest shocker of Devil May Cry 3 is that it's actually a prequel. The story takes place even before the events depicted in the original game. That means you'll be hacking and slashing your way through plenty of demons and looking for evil in a gay disco. Anyway, there are a few innovations this time around. You can play using several fighting styles. Choose Trickster, and you can make evasive maneuvers during combat. Pick the Swordmaster option instead, and Shredder moves are introduced. And the Gunslinger option introduces snazzy trick shots. Oh, for the love of all that is holy, make the guitar rock stop.
This party's getting crazy.
Could you shut up? Anyway, once again, the object of the game is to decimate foes to achieve the rating of dope or blast. Wait, blast?
I'm not even sure myself.
Either way, we'll be sure to bring you our full review when the game comes out next year.
I can already tell. Looks like this is gonna be one hell of a party!
Huh. At E3 this year, we saw tons of great upcoming titles from Capcom.
Beautiful Joe 2, Resident Evil 4, and Shadows of Rome.
But Devil May Cry 3 may be one of their most anticipated because the kids love Dante. Apparently, androgynous albino men light the fanboys' fires.
Yeah, they do. Of course, if you need your Dante fix right now, let me know who you are. You can actually play as a teeny tiny cel-shaded Dante in the PS2 version of the original Beautiful Joe.
Yes, he looks all itty-bitty and cute and really not menacing and brooding at all. Look at him. Who's an adorable little demon slayer? You are?
No, I don't
Little
slay.
demon slayer.
Coming up, because someone out there must care, FIFA Soccer 2005. Due to budget cuts, we can only show you Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Actually, one of us is probably going to leave before the show's over.
Welcome back to X-Play, the show that brings you brutally honest game reviews.
And we have to be brutally honest right now, we're not a huge fan of the soccer games.
Chalk it up to the fact that in the U.S., soccer is slightly less popular than shuffleboard.
I love shuffleboard.
And you can see why we have a bit of a hard time getting excited about it.
We're talking about men's soccer, of course, because women's soccer in the U.S. is actually compelling. And sometimes when they score goals, you know, they strip to their sports bras. I'm just saying that they might go together.
So how do we tap into the enthusiasm the rest of the world feels for football?
By tapping into the new online component of FIFA Soccer 2005.
Cancel any plans you might have. This game is going to consume you, and that's a promise.
Most Americans think they're above soccer, that it's just a silly sport for the rest of the silly world. But we also re-elected W to a second term, so maybe we're wrong about the whole soccer thing, too.
Oh, real chance. Oh, no, it's gone the wrong side of the post.
FIFA Soccer 2005 was made for fanatics. Techno-loving soccer, football fanatics who know all the players on every Premiership team. You know, like most of the planet. American MLS is in there somewhere, but primarily you'll be playing foreigners of every nationality and flavor, from brie to bratwurst to kimchi. Even the soundtrack is filled with enough imports to stock a college record store. You could have a cultural experience with British rap music.
Yeah, like I said, you are really fit, but my gosh, don't you just know it?
Watching these tiny men running around on a huge soccer pitch is kind of like watching hamsters running around in the yard. But they're really talented hamsters. And the spot-on chants and cheers add a lot of gravitas to the scurrying little sockers.
If you're bored, I was waiting in the
In the race for a perfect soccer game, it's a two-horse sprint between EA's fast-paced FIFA and Konami's masterpiece Winning 11. EA Sports games often stumble trying to cater to both hardcore gamers and newcomers, and this year's offering is no exception. The game thrives on repetitive running gunplays, like hockey, but with better teeth. It's tiresome for aficionados of the subtle nuances of fine footy, but easier on the ADD-addled minds of newbies.
Oh, over the bar.
What FIFA does have are licenses for every major football franchise, which must have cost them a lot of euros.
They've sold plenty of tickets. The ground is nearly full.
There's probably a few you've heard of. David Beckham's here, Ronaldo, even Americans like DC United's Freddie Adu, the supposedly 15-year-old football type terrible. It's fun making him foul older players till a mean old ref sends him to his room with a red card. It also has the enjoyably unintelligible Scottish announcer, Ali McCoist.
John, fantastic to be here. It really is. Not only for the rest of their careers will these players remember, for the rest of their lives. I'm afraid it's hard to say anything good about that shot. The script was written for this game as soon as that early goal went in.
FIFA is the Beckham of soccer games. Plenty of style and some finesse. But mostly, it's all marketing. Play for a bit and you'll think it outglitz the competition. Play longer and the eye candy wears off and you'll realize it's still not in the same league. We give it a 3 out of 5.
It's hard to palm a soccer ball. Now that FIFA 2005 has online play, you can pretty much play anyone in the world.
Which means you can play people who actually care, even if you don't. Hey, Pop.
Coming up, Southern Comfort with the Dukes of Hazzard, return of the General League. Show some love to cuddly co-host Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
See, it's like the General Lee without the racist imagery.
Welcome back to X-Play, the show that brings you the best in Southern gaming.
Yes, in the proud tradition of games like Starsky and Hutch, aptly named developers Ratbag have produced the Dukes of Hazzard game.
Oh, goody. Uncomfortable Confederate imagery and questionable short shorts all in one game.
And all because the public was absolutely clamoring for another Dukes of Hazzard game. Actually, they weren't.
Well, either way, here's our review of Dukes of Hazzard, Return of the General League.
Just a good old boy.
I always loved Friday nights as a kid. Sometimes I'd make Shrinky Dinks. Sometimes I'd beat my brother. Sometimes I played Connect 4. But I always watched the Dukes of Hazzard on CBS. Now, Ubisoft drags out this venerable license with the Dukes of Hazzard, Return of the General Lee. I felt as happy as a little girl until I started playing it. The game's missions are laid out to feel like an episode of the TV show, and that part works fairly well. Everyone's here. The Dukes, Boss Hogg, Sheriff Roscoe, and the rest, along with General Hijinks. Amusing ineptitude, and overall ruckus raisin.
If the General Lee is good for one thing, it's frustrating alone.
And me. Whether you drive from behind the car or glued onto the front bumper, realize that your tires are bald and gravity is a quarter of Earth normal. This is an attempt to create the freewheeling, power-sliding action of the TV show, but the result is an irritating lack of control. If the screwy physics flip your car over, just wait. The good Lord will provide.
Jump down to the highway?
Hallelujah! Navigating is a chore too. If you roam freely, you'll just get lost. If you use the overlay map, you'll crash. It's like Boss Hogg stole all the fun from Hazzard County and locked it away. Ooh, it must be in here. Fun you will be mine! Let me in, fun!
I don't know whose rear end is suffering more, the scars or mine.
Hard to tell. It is the South, after all. Several members of the original cast do the voices for their characters.
See, I know what you're up to, Jesse Duke. Don't you move a muscle.
But we did say, see y'all later to some. Uncle Jesse, dead. Boss Hogg, dead. Daisy Duke, alive, but shrewish.
Oh, look, you stop fooling around. You're gonna miss the race, fellas.
Funny, she doesn't look shrewish. Until someone gets this franchise right, I'll stick with my old VHS tapes and real cars with actual traction. A 2 out of 5.
Well, thank God this game came out, because it opens the door for all those other great TV show games we've been dying to play.
Like a BJ and the Bear dating sim.
Or a Little House on the Prairie first-person shooter.
Or a Love Boat hack and slash.
And let's not forget the Mama's Family real-time strategy game. See, you get to manage your resources so you can make sure they never rerun it again.
Up next, could this be the game of the year? It's Ratchet & Clank, Up Your Arsenal! Blocking the sun's harmful rays, it's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
See, we have a purpose. Welcome back to X-Play, the show that brings you the best platformer of the year.
It might even be the best game of the year. Doo-doo.
So far, this year has given us some great driving games.
Like Burnout 3.
Great shooters.
Halo 2.
Great strategy game.
Rome Total War.
And a great game to beat unsuspecting people up in.
Barbie Horse Adventure. I mean San Andreas.
Good.
Yeah.
But this is the first platformer to join the lofty ranks of those covenant-shooting, car-crashing, hooker-punching titles.
Here's our review of Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal.
We continue our live coverage from Veldin. Just hours ago, the planet was attacked without warning by a terrifying alien race known as the Tyrannoids.
Okay, you've heard this plot before, but it's okay. Ratchet and Clank are on the case.
Hey, look! It's a new sergeant! Huh? Hey, Sarge, you can have my gun. There's too many of them! We're all gonna die!
And you know what? It just gets better and better. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal is the best Ratchet ever. And that's really good, because the first 2 Ratchets weren't too shabby. This time, the controls are preposterously tight, and it's the perfect mix of action and strategy. And yes, it ratchets up the difficulty. You still play as Ratchet, and sometimes Clank, and sometimes this guy. More on that later. But first, there are tons of weapons that make things go boom! And they add a lot of strategy to the combat. Now, I like to use the Infector to make enemies attack each other. Then, in the Pandemonium, I take the rest out with my Plasma Whip or even my wrench. See, I tend to be a little stingy with my ammo, you know, in case of a rainy day, but that's just me. See, now I'm glad I saved those 8 nitro bombs.
He sure got his spells on that time.
There is so much variety. There are arena games to earn you cash and prizes, there's platforming fun, there's driving. There's even these side-scrolling sojourns with Captain Quark. It's a video game within a video game. How postmodern. Or POMO if you go to Hampshire. Ooh, rats! And I just love being in disguise and talking to the Tyrannoids. If you get the pattern right, you gain access. If you get it wrong... I admit a noxious effluvium in your general direction. It's a great new take on an old classic.
I seen him run right through our camping site. He was buck naked, screaming and holding a banana. Or maybe it weren't a banana.
The story is quirky and flows well with the action. There's the hot chick.
Anyway.
The president.
We must stop Dr. Nefarious.
The bumbling hero. And the genre satire.
Oh, please tell me this is a typo.
That's robotic pirate ghosts. Guess reading wasn't your subject, eh, Professor?
What's depressing is that I've played games with robot ghost pirates.
Booty is in the eye of the beholder.
And you want to know the icing on the cake? Multiplayer. So when you're done playing the single player for the 50th time, you can kill your friends and beloved neighbors. I know, cool, right? Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal gets an absolutely emphatic 5 out of 5 and is easily a candidate for Game of the Year.
That was terrific.
Yeah, great. Change the channel.
But the man said to stay tuned.
There are so many reasons to love this game, the multiplayer being one of them.
And the rest of the game being the other reason. Now, one little tip. If you have not played the Ratchet game since the first one, I highly recommend you play Going Commando first. This game is more difficult, and it kind of assumes that you really know how to play it. If not, then you can play the third one, but the second one's great too. So, you know what?
Yeah, might as
just
well
play them all.
it. There's like a tutorial in the beginning, so people aren't going to be left totally high and dry if they just pick up Ratchet & Clank.
Now, I'm giddy like a schoolgirl, but now we're going to turn to something more serious. Viewer mail.
Today's viewer mail is from David M. at Benicia High School. He writes, I have some questions for you guys. Question number 1. I heard rumors that a new first-person slasher like Mach X is in the works somewhere. Is that true? Question number 2. Has Shigeru Miyamoto ever made a bad game? Oh, so wonderful questions, David. Question number 1. Now, we haven't heard about any first-person slashers in development at the moment, but there's Breakdown. It had first-person fighting elements.
And if you're looking for a game where you can open up a can of whoop-ass with a sword, there's Halo 2. Now,
Yes.
for those of you out there who don't know what Mach X was, it was a Dreamcast game that was a first-person slasher. You had a sword. And you know what? They almost made it into a third-person game in Japan, but I don't think it ever came out.
Oh.
All right, moving on to the next question about Shigeru Miyamoto. This
Yes.
the guy behind Zelda and Mario. Has he ever made a bad game? He's kind of like the Spielberg of games, but even better than Spielberg. I think the second Zelda.
You think the second Zelda?
It's not a terrible game, but
It's not terrible.
But it's still, compared to the other ones, I've never really cared for it. And some people don't like the second Mario game, but that's highly debatable as well. I mean,
Yeah,
they're just bad
so-
in his oeuvre.
Exactly. They're not terrible.
Oeuvre. It sounds like ovary.
Good night. What are you talking about?
Who? Stop that.